Hi there, it's Laurence Bradford from Learn to Code with Me, and this time I'm going to be talking about writing CSS the shorthand way. Okay, so last time we talked about the difference between the different font sizes. We talked about pixels, percentages, EMs, and REMs. So hopefully people understand that a little bit more. I have some links in the last video that give pretty good explanations as well. Okay, so there's something else now we're going to talk about, and it is the shorthand way to write fonts. So I have an example up here, and both ways work, and they're going to give the same results. However, some people prefer to do this the shorthand way, all in one line, because it, can save time. So here, I'm going to pull up my code editor, okay, and sort of show you that's from before. But first, actually, what I want to do, let me make this bigger, is, all this stuff is just kind of old. I was just using that as examples, take the screenshots. I kind of want to show you guys this though first because it's pretty cool. This is a little graphic I found online showing the shorthand way, and I have the link down here. I'll add it in the show notes. I found it on Google. I highly doubt it's Creative Commons licensed it, but I got it on deviantart.net. And yeah, it was somewhere on Google. It was hard for me to find it like on their actual site. It didn't take me to the exact page. Anyway, I really like how this kind of labels everything out because it does sort of get confusing, especially if you're a beginner. I mean, even for me, typically I do maybe some shorthand with the fonts, and there's other shorthand things you can do beyond fonts with padding and margin and borders, which we haven't talked about yet. But some people prefer this, but for me, this line kind of gets, really long. But basically, so I don't even have to look at this to know what I'm doing. So let's do this the longhand way first. So you would have your P tag, and then you would do font style, italic. See, in Sublime Text does its autofill, which is great. Okay, you know what? Font variant. I've never actually used this. Small caps. Typically, I do uppercase, which I'll just show you for a second, is like this, text transform uppercase, right? I prefer that. I've never done small caps. Font weight, bold. Okay, and then this would be the font size, 16 pixels. That's not font, line height. Line height 1.5 EM. And then when they get to the font family, they have Times New Roman. And then, I always do the shorthand with the fonts. I always put the fallback on the same line, which would then be like this. What do they have? Times serif. Okay, so that's the longhand way. Now, the shorthand way, you'd put all this on one line. So instead of you just do regular font as the property, I guess, because then all this would be the value. Italic, small caps, bold, 16 pixels. And then they did that slash 1.5 EM. Make sure, yeah, no comments there, okay. Times New Roman. Let me see, okay. Okay, so again, this is all the same. This would, produce the same results. Personally, I think, maybe condensing it a bit is okay, like with the font family. I mean, I guess it's really just a personal preference. You know, there's multiple ways to do things, and this definitely, you know, is condensed. But something like this to me is just so, it's just really, really, you know, like such a long line. But just so you're aware that, you know, there's certain types of properties that you can condense with shorthand, but not everything. Okay, so this is some of the other, one of the other things you can do with shorthand. And margin and padding, we haven't talked about this yet, so I don't want to get that much into it, but it's the same rule applies for both. Basically, padding kind of adds some space in between where your content and margins is on the outside. That sounds hard to explain without really going into it, but later day, I promise. But basically, what this is kind of showing, and I always do this, is instead of adding, you know, padding top, padding bottom, padding left, padding right, you can do it all in one declaration with just padding 10 pixels, and that means it would show up on each side. But say you want to do a padding just on the top and bottom, it would be like this: 10 pixels, 0 pixels. This indicates top and bottom. This is left and right. Say if you want to do something that had like different padding for different side, for different like top, bottom, left, right, you would do padding 10 pixels, that's top, bottom, 5 pixels, that's left, right. So we're going to talk about this more in a future video, and I'll go over some more of the rules, because there's other stuff you can do with the shorthand. So say if you just want to do like top, bottom, left, or you want to have, you could even actually condense it all into one. You can actually condense it all into one by doing, it goes, top, right, bottom, left. So I'm trying to do top, right, bottom, left. So say if you want the top to have a padding of, 5 pixels for the top. For the right, you wanted 2 pixels. For the bottom, you wanted 4 pixels. And for the left, you wanted 7 pixels, right? I don't know why you would ever do that, but that's a way of condensing it instead of making it all like, this. Okay, so that's all I'm going to talk about today, because up next I'm going to talk about incorporating the CSS in your document, in your HTML document, and there's 3 main different ways to do that. And I kind of want to save that all for next time and not mix things. All right, so I'll be doing one of these soon. I'll be doing one of these soon, and have a good rest of the day.